nation with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting, West Burlington City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Crowner.
Here.
Heitmeyer.
Here.
Lees.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Need to perfect and approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support. There's a motion with support. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Heitmeyer.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under consent agenda, item number 9 should be $11,262.50. It doesn't change the overall total on the claims list. It still stays the same. There are just 2 claims that weren't included in that, but the claims itself is correct.
Motion to approve as amended.
Support.
Motion with support to approve consent agenda items 1 through 11, which are, let's see, which one I can read better, is the minutes from the regular city council meeting on September 1st, 2021, approve a liquor license renewal for Target, approve the renewal of Duo two-factor authentication, approve payment to Uniform Den, approve payment to Santry Fire Supply, approve payment to Iowa Municipal Workers' Compensation Association, approve payment to Southeast Iowa Regional Medical Center, approve payment to Valley Distribution, approve payment to Municipal Solutions, approve the clerk's monthly financial report for July 2021, and approve the claims list as presented in the amount of $417,936.28. Any discussion?
No.
Roll call.
Lees.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Heitmeyer.
Aye. Motion carried. We'll go to council and staff reports. Greg?
I'm gonna do Public Works tonight as well. Let's see. Lures, with the rain the other night, they had a few repairs to the matting and the seating. It's roped off. We want the grass to take hold. It's currently closed at this point in time. Get that grass to take off. Otherwise, looks good. And the street and the pavers passed actually much better than expected. They absorb the water at a faster rate than the specs, so that's a good thing. Water pollution control plant had a lightning strike. Mike's getting Public Works is getting cost estimates for repairs. We'll have more details on that. South Lift Station had a discussion with the contractors. The main item that is remaining is the replacement of the concrete lid and hatches on the South Lift Station. They need to be replaced so that you can fit the 4th pump in. You currently cannot fit the 4th pump in. Likely need to be looking at splitting that 3 ways between the entities. After meeting with those folks, I think I included that in my update as well. We have the other topic of disincentives we're going to need to talk about at some point in time. I've got in contact with the city attorney. They brought up COVID and there may be some justification for COVID-related items, but not for the entire amount, and for the disincentives, I guess, at present. So we'll consider those dates. We have not received a report from them. We'll have to take a look at that and report back to you on what they are proposing in that regards. 537 Spring Street is in process, as you know. The gentleman's incarcerated still. We're working with the city attorney to make sure we get all of the paperwork and notices and everything handled correctly. Apologies, because it is a bit out of the norm to have an individual incarcerated during this process, nuisance process and condemnation process, not taking, but condemnation for related to nuisances. So we're working through that. Let's see, Sean mentioned that Burlington, City of Burlington was going to be using the training ground for their Citizen Academy. And you received emails from us regarding the Manufacturers Appreciation Lunch. I have Hans and Andy down. If there's anybody else that was going to attend, if you let me know, or Kelly know. Or I actually need to let them know. Is there anybody that knows they're going to be attending?
I don't know yet, but I'm
Okay.
going to see.
Thanks, good. That's all for now. I have several items under the agenda.
Okay, anybody have anything for Greg, or?
Just update on the leaf conversation, if that's went anywhere?
Let's see, our vendors is not interested for many of the same reasons that Public Works is not interested. It's still our recommendation, continue as is. We did contact the contractor, Boomerang, that is doing the demolition on the water plant site, and that site can be made available through December if we would like to utilize that site.
Okay. So what do you need from us to get some direction? Are we going to put this on an agenda?
Well, there's obviously a cost associated with it, so if that's the, yeah, we can certainly put that on the agenda, or, I mean, if there's a consensus, I can just move forward with it. 'Cause obviously, the cost, it's not budgeted for.
Is it a significant cost? Do we have any
Well,
idea?
it's a step. I don't have an estimated cost. I mean, it's, you know, it would even out. It's just basically work that won't be getting done at that time, during that time frame when they're hauling, loading, so. But if that's, I guess if that's the consensus, I guess that would be sufficient for me. That way, I mean, it's already September 22nd, unfortunately. Obviously, I mean, I think you know Mike's position, and, you know, from a cost perspective, we haven't had complaints, it's working. I had a Burlington resident contact me, asking if they could deposit, asking why it wasn't open, and if they could deposit their brush, validating some of our concerns. I indicated they can take it out to the landfill. And if we do the water plant site, it may be best to do leaves and grass, which would at that site rather than brush. That would, I guess, obviously be easier. And it's free. But leaves and grass,
Burlington does the same thing with their water bill too, so.
leaves and grass obviously can also be taken out to the landfill at no cost. What is your pleasure?
And the brushes too, doesn't cost the residents anything, because we're picking up the tab for that.
Right. There's a long-term discussion, I mean, regarding Public Works as well, so.
It's been a little bit since I've been out there. Is it still the normal hours out there to be able to drop stuff off? There's no way to get in and...
At present, I mean, that's certainly some discussions I think we should have for the long term, is if we can tweak that or provide a different drop-off method or hours. Sundays, obviously, this individual called me on a Sunday, and
Yeah.
I reminded him it was for West Burlington residents. I'm not going to name the individual since I know them.
My opinion is people have gotten used to having to haul it out there, and right now, they're expecting to do that. Recently, I've not had many people bring it up to me at all. They think they see the water tower in progress and realize, okay, this is gonna be until that's fixed, that, until it's finished, that they're gonna have to haul it out there, and they've gotten used to hauling it out to the landfill. And I'm in favor of leaving it as we have now, at least till the water tower's done, and then we figure out what we're gonna do. Because candidly, the folks I've talked to, nobody's concerned about it right now.
I can talk to Hal, too, I mean, for the long-term process, I mean, that's a different discussion, but I can follow up with Hal on that, so.
What about, I know currently there's kind of the not talked about method of Public Works will go by and pick up leave bags that you leave out in the front.
You know, If we do that, for example, on a Monday, I mean, it takes up 2 guys basically for a day.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that our work comp providers kind of frown upon. Same with like Levine's picking up bags of garbage, that twisting, dumping motion, that's
Yeah,
one
we
of the
don't-
things that causes injuries. It was a discussion I had with them the last time we talked about.
We don't have anything other than a dump truck, so you'd be out there utilizing.
And I guess, let me restate that. I'm not saying I think we should do that for the entire city. I'm saying we need to go one way or the other and make a decision and not have something that's, well, we do it for these 4 people that know about it. Just cut it off and stop, and if those people want that service, they can pay for it. But I also think we need
What
to
is it?
provide an easy way to get
$2
stuff
every
out
time-
there.
$2, I believe it is, if you get a container every time, and it's
Yeah.
only when you put it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we could make that process easy, maybe put it up on the website, here's who to call, here's that process. I didn't know about that till 2 months ago when we talked about it. Because I
Yeah.
would gladly pay for that.
We could certainly put something out about that service. I think
Dollars
it's
a
a great
month,
service.
and it through November, and then every time they pick it up, it's $4.75. And you call them the Tuesday night, because they'll come on Wednesday, and,
Same week as your garbage, right?
well,
Oh.
Wednesday's specific
Right.
leaf, trash, leaf limb day.
And it's only when you put it out.
You have to call them,
Right.
so they know what address to go to. I've used it, I switched over, because it's like, well, I'm not going out to the dump.
It's so easy, it's so
Someone
nice
might
to
pick me
have.
up.
It's so easy, and this is the service you're referring to, is the one provided through Levine's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where you pay a fee to have it set up, and then every time you want to dump,
And it holds a lot, like I think I've only had it dumped twice this whole summer.
gotcha.
But the savings is, and without knowing the numbers, the labor and not having to pay, because when our guys take it, we have to pay for the brush and the leaves and everything to take it all the way in, that we're only paying for what specifically West Burlington residents are taking versus, and most of it's free, the grass and things, but once we take it in the dump truck, you pay by the weight of it. So that's where the savings.
It's also, to go on the point you made earlier, safety issue for both the resident, if they're not having to load their stuff into a truck and haul it out there, and also the city people don't have to. Levine's uses their equipment to do
Yeah,
it, right?
they
So
use the equipment.
it's a real potential safety issue.
Really, we have not had, we've had people call and ask, but not, as many people complain as I thought they would. I mean, initially, there was a couple people, but I can ask Katie, but I have really not heard people calling here anyway. They don't always call here and complain, but they reach out to people individually.
Other than Burlington residents.
Yeah, I've had that happen too, people I know.
Yeah.
I do think their understanding of the water tower.
Yes.
I think there is, at least right now, an expectation that once that's completed, we'll have that discussion again, and I'd like to. I could get on board with some better communication on that service for those that really need it. And I think that's quite a few in our community that just have no way to haul that stuff out no matter what. But then I would like to talk about it again once that's possible.
And could we use the time between now and then to gather our facts to really know how much
Yeah.
Yeah.
dollars and hours the city puts into managing that, so we
We'll put a
can,
more comprehensive piece together and either have a work session or add it to the end of a short agenda here in the near future.
great.
If I remember right, 2 years ago when we were going through some goals, that was listed as like the number one requested thing, or that people liked, citizens, was that drop off. So I hate
Our citizen survey we did years ago, that
Yeah.
was the number one thing.
to just go, well, it costs $2,000, let's get rid of it. Well,
Sure.
if it's number one on the list,
I think that was also when it was in town and it wasn't on the way to the landfill, when people are like, oh, I can drop it there for free.
Yeah.
Right here, then rather than go another mile to the landfill and,
But the convenience of that, Kelly, is for people that work past 4 or 5 o'clock at night and the landfill's not open, or if they work a weekend.
Yeah.
The landfill closes at noon on Saturday, so it's not fitting for everybody's schedule.
for some people's schedule. I mean, Randy and I both work, he's been taking, before we got our container, we just tried for a while. We figured out, we got a time people will figure out a time to make it work if they have to get rid of it.
We'll put a more comprehensive pieces together. We'll get information from the landfill as well, numbers, and bring it back. And we'll post Levine's service on the website as well, and on social media.
Only other thing I wanted to say while we're still on Greg is thank you very much for the communication. People outside of this council don't see it every day or every week like we get it, but the level of communication you've given us, I really feel like I know everything that's going on in every department, so thank you very much.
Right. No, I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, anything else? Jess?
Just a couple things. We've been working in the school zones before and after school, just setting up different parts of town, Melville, Van Wees, Ramsey. Officer Covert gets out there with their LiDAR, so catching speeders, different things like that. I had one going down Melville a couple weeks ago, 62 and a 25. He got about a $300 citation for his little stunt after school, so we were trying to, to hit different parts of town. So, and then just a few things on, I just would like to thank the Des Moines County Sheriff's Department and Burlington Police Department with the assistance with that search warrant that we did on the house on Spring Street. Everything went well. If you haven't noticed, the foot traffic is non-existent now up and down Houston Street. All the neighbors in that neighborhood are very thankful, and we're just waiting for our day in court now.
Couple days in court.
Yes.
Anybody have anything for Jess?
Just I had a resident say they felt safe in their house again after the efforts were executed, so thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm 6 blocks away, 5 blocks away, and I've had 4 or 5 neighbors mention to me, I don't see those people walking through our yards now. So thank you very much, appreciate it.
Sean's not here, and Greg covered some of that. Kelly?
I will mention that at the last meeting, Kathy Christie submitted her resignation, and at that time, she said it would be effective November 2nd. Her thinking was that it would allow her to serve up until the next election, but according to the state code, in order for a vacancy to be on the next ballot, her seat had to be vacant as of September 11th. So between the last meeting and when I found out that information, Kathy did submit her resignation, and it was effective on September 8th. She would have liked to have been able to serve at least until the election, so we didn't have an empty seat, but that's
She's
state
still helping
code.
out with trees, though.
Yeah, she did want to still help out with the trees, and yeah, she hated to leave, but she felt like that was the best for the election, and otherwise we would have had to either appoint again or have a special election, which is an expense to the city, so.
Or in that time frame, you couldn't have a special election anyway.
Well, after, you'd have to have it after
Afterwards,
the, yeah.
Okay, Angie?
I don't have anything.
Alrighty.
I do. She's been doing a great job. We have our part-timer started. Cindy is back today and tomorrow. They've been working through various reports, TIF, there'll be annual finance report, street report you'll be working on, budget documents working on. So she's really stepping up, and I appreciate that. So.
Are the audits done, or how you?
She was supposed to get back with me at the beginning of the week. She's got a couple of adjustments that I need to make. And then I think that the partner had been off for a week and was coming back. So I know that it should be soon because she's getting ready to start another audit for a different city. So just waiting.
Andy, you got anything going on?
Yeah, with Kathy departing earlier than we thought, I just wanted to take a minute and thank her for her service. I know she's only been here about 2 years, but she spent a lot of time, put in a lot of research time, helped on a lot of boards, helped me with the 4th of July parade, took over that, called every single elected representative we have, all the way up to the governor, and invited them, so I really appreciated her work on that. She'll be greatly missed, so I just wanted to say that. We didn't get a chance while she was still here, but thank you, Kathy.
Same way, I think I need to thank Kathy for the 2 years on here and helping and everything.
Reese?
Oh, ditto.
Mel?
Okay, great. I got her stuff, she handed it off to me, so it's at home if anybody wants it. I just missed it, but how are we coming on the flagpole out of the public works building? Did that get put up?
You
or-
know, I know that they ordered it after the last meeting, so I'm not sure. Materials for things is just very hard, but I think it's getting better, but I haven't.
I don't have an update. It was
Okay.
ordered after the last meeting.
Gotcha, so it's in process, okay, thanks. And the Homes for Iowa video, I appreciated that on that house, that's pretty cool, that little house on West Burlington. I didn't know anything about that till I got the updates from you guys.
It's a
that-
cute little house.
It is, and if my understanding, it's sold now?
Yeah.
And It's just
You know,
good that West Burlington's part of the process of getting one of the first
Yeah,
houses
one of the
put up
first
in our
ones.
community. That's pretty cool.
If you know of anybody, or if you know any lots in West Burlington that could stand another one of those, they'd be happy to probably build us another one. I can think of one, but I don't know who owns it anymore. It's the one that burned down by
Yep,
you.
I'm thinking, I think the same thing.
That's
Anyway.
all, thank you.
Anyone wishing to address council on matters that are not on the agenda tonight, step forward. Okay, we'll go to a public hearing. I have a hearing on the Mount Pleasant Street HMA resurfacing project. I'll open the public hearing. And do we receive any public comments?
No.
Anyone wishing to make a public comment on the resurfacing? This resurfacing will be from Gear Avenue west to the US exit 34 exit ramp interchange. And it's a state-funded project with state and federal dollars, actually. And the money comes from the feds and is handed to the states. And this has been in the works for, it was submitted back in 2017 or 18 and approved for the 2021 construction or design and construction season.
Your Honor, if there's no public comment, I'd like to bring a topic up.
Go ahead.
I think I threw Matt a curveball at the last minute regarding this project. Mike and I had taken a drive around town and down Mount Pleasant as well, and I don't believe it was considered at the time, at least it's my understanding, that it wasn't considered at the time. But if you take a look at the street and the traffic on that street, there's no need for a 4-lane road on Mount Pleasant, all the way out to the city limits. There would be an opportunity to take that down to a 2-lane with the center median and turn lanes. I asked Matt for some really rough numbers really quick. It'd save about $120,000.
Looking back, it's gonna be more than that. 'Cause
Right.
my spacings for
Okay.
driveways were quite a bit, but.
Good, because I was hoping that was a little low.
Right.
But, so there would be a savings not only in the project cost, now there may be a proportional reduction in the grant dollars, we need to follow up on that. So there would be project savings, overall cost, future maintenance cost, snow removal and other maintenance costs, because you're only maintaining 1 lane instead of 4 lanes. Now, I know it's late in the game, I know it's a bit of a late curveball, and we've kind of thrown a lot at you, but, doing some rough numbers, I mean, if it's going to be, this is based on $120,000, we have a $375,000 grant. Let's see, overall project cost was $947,000, engineer's estimate, so savings 120 to, I don't know, 200?
And really with that, I didn't even take into account traffic control or mobilization.
Right.
You're gonna have a save on your bondings
Right.
as those project is numbers.
I thought it would probably be closer to,
Sure, I mean, that's probably.
was kind of what I was guessing. Right. So you can see about $150,000 savings. at the end of the day, even factoring in the grant dollars as well. Now, there would be some additional engineering cost, but then it would also be my recommendation that on Phase 3 of Mount Pleasant to do this same thing and take that down to 2 lanes as well. And again, you save on future maintenance costs, public works maintenance, and street replacement, snow removal, all of those factors. So I know it's late in the game, but I wanted to throw it out because it is a savings. And I have no idea where you stand on it. Then it's late in the game, but I thought it was important to bring up.
I do have some sketches, if it helped to picture what it would look like.
To me, it would. My guess is we just take Mount Pleasant and the way it is downtown with the 2 lanes, the turn lane, the 2 bike lanes, and just take that and go all the way out to 34 that
No,
way?
because you've got the grass
Oh, too
median
easy.
in the center.
Okay,
So
all
really
right.
what you do is you take the 2 inside lanes,
Mm-hmm.
the closest to the grass, and you would keep those 2.
Mm-hmm.
You would overlay those 2, and the 2 outside lanes, you turn those into a gravel shoulder, and then the existing gravel shoulder would become grass.
And you'd probably shorten up that gravel shoulder a bit
Right,
as
right.
well. And then you would flare out the ends so that when you get to Gear Avenue, it flares back out to 4. You have a right turn lane, and you have some stacking.
That was my question.
and you would
On
definitely have
Gear and out by the shops, do you?
Yeah, you would have some stacking ability, and then as you, you would have some transition on the opposite end until Phase 3 of the Mount Pleasant Street project as well. You'd have to bring that back out to 4 lanes in that period, but it's not difficult to do. And then the only factors then are the slightly
If
larger,
you've got a spare, give one to
Slightly
Ron,
larger-
Johnny.
entrances, which you'll note on there for the driveways and such. But it was a rather significant cost. I'm sorry it's late in the game, but I guess it is what it is at this point.
As far as construction, it really won't affect it at the timing of it, because the work isn't gonna happen till next spring at the earliest anyway, so.
Okay.
So it won't affect when the project work, the actual work is done.
And the only, I guess, real question at this point in time, other than finalizing those numbers, would be if DOT would simply take a proportional share or not. We'd have to find that answer
Yeah,
out.
we'd have to work with Zach James.
Right.
And figure out.
Yeah, probably needs to be reapproved to DOT.
But
I mean, this,
I wonder if just the TAC committee would have to approve it.
well, it would be tacked,
Yeah,
but, but then it would still go in front of
Sure, I'm sure.
regional planning for final.
Yep, yep.
Right. So, I mean, there are some additional steps, but there is some savings for the long term, not just with this project, so.
So if I get it right, the reason we want to make the change is we don't believe the current traffic demand on those streets supports a 4-lane. We can get by with 2 lanes.
Not even remotely. I mean, I don't have the numbers, but
I did
in front of me. But
So at the Mount Pleasant and Gear intersection, there's 7,000 vehicles per day there. As you go from the stretch from there to the Washington turn, it drops to 4,490 cars per day. So, 2,500 cars. And then from there to west, it's down to 3,300 cars a day.
And just enough visually, I
That's
mean, take,
on heading west and heading east, total numbers.
Yes, that's all they do, is they
Yeah.
give you just the one. They don't break it down into each direction.
So it's roughly half each way, yeah.
Yep.
right. And compare that to agency, which you probably don't have. I mean, if you just park out there one day and look at agency versus Mount Pleasant, I mean, the traffic doesn't justify, in my opinion, a 4-lane road, and especially from future maintenance and construction costs, so.
The taper wouldn't actually happen till you get probably, I mean, you wouldn't taper right away at Gear.
Right, you would wait till after Gear North and probably after the concrete, that drive there. And really, right now, as you go through the intersection of Gear South, it's got that painted median there. So it's really a wide lane, so you probably just keep that going until, I guess, the grass median, you're merging from no median to where the grass median is.
I'd probably continue with the process tonight. We could confirm the information, confirm the grant dollars. I mean, if the grant award, would, for example, would go away, my recommendation would obviously be different. But if it was proportional, we save, a substantial amount overall and future maintenance. So we'd be back with obviously some additional pieces, TAC committee, regional planning, public hearing, and DOT. But ideally, we would still get it out by a February letting, which is January, February is your targets for bid letting for street projects. So I think we can keep it on track.
The only thing I'm seeing in these drawings that is a concern to me is the eastbound on, right where we're hitting gear, north gear. Just thoughts of, as we're talking with businesses and so forth about expanding that area up there, we may want to kick that back a little bit further west, the 2-lane, and start that a little bit further west than that, and give them an easy way to think a semi coming in, turning, going eastbound, turning north onto north gear. We might want to make that easier for that to happen if that area is going to develop.
And I think, also want to think about, isn't the area we're thinking of developing out off Washington Road that feeds into Mount Pleasant Street?
I think you're talking gear.
Yeah, off of Gear.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
And I'm going further out by the city. I guess I'm looking at this different. Yeah, here's Gear. The whole thing, basically, if things go the way we want, is going to have more traffic if our economic development works out there by Southeast Iowa Bus. One, we got that, and then isn't there a housing development that's getting
Oh, that's-
done out that way?
That's Washington.
That's
Right.
only about 8 lots. so
8
that's-
lots, so that's just it's not a ton, but it's more traffic, going in the direction of more traffic versus less, that's all.
And usually when you're adding, I mean, you still have the right of way would be there, so if your development were to come on Washington, it wouldn't be very difficult to add a right turn lane, or add something
Gotcha,
out there
okay.
to get them going, to the north. It'd be a little bit more difficult for eastbound traffic adding a left turn lane. You'd have to, switch cars in and out since
Yeah.
the way you're using it.
That's the only one I saw that I was worried about right there, but I'm not as worried about Washington. I don't think they're ever gonna add, 80 houses out there.
You're concerned about the turn radius on the gear?
Well, and just making it easy right there, if you're headed eastbound, to be able to turn on the north gear.
Oh, right here's what he's talking about. Moving this here.
Right now, I think you'd be stopping all traffic flow, sitting there waiting.
Well, you're
Right
already
here.
basically down to one
Because
lane
there's
if
the one
you're
semi.
going eastbound right now. Because
Yeah.
you can only, that second lane, you can only turn right onto gear.
Yeah,
And you gotta straighten yourself out to get, jogged over to
Yeah.
Mount Pleasant. So you're down to one lane already.
yeah. And it works for today. I'm just worried if we add, 4
I wouldn't
manufacturing
take any of
plants out
that
there.
pavement out there. I mean, I wouldn't do
Yeah.
nothing till it tapers,
Right,
I'm
and
gonna
the
say,
numbers that I was-
past Johnny's place.
Yeah.
Those are all,
Yep.
this would all be, that whole area would be re-asphalted, it would just be striped differently.
Okay.
Something you might want to remember is those deputies back there in the back, when those semis come out. You might not see traffic and your numbers might not be as high as you think they are, or should be. There's a lot of trucks that goes through there, a lot of trucks. And those trucks are gonna have turns going into almost every business. So if you add turn lanes in every one of them, like I see the semi backing over and backing into power sports once or twice a week, and they basically stops traffic going in there. If you cut a lane out of there, you're gonna have another problem there, because he literally goes over, goes through the median, comes back and backs over in. I would think twice about
Actually, I
taking 4 lane, or taking 2 lanes out of there. I really do.
Actually, I think by extending the driveways on the outside lanes, I mean,
You're gonna have a turn lane too.
Well, you already-
Almost everyone, ideal, you're gonna have a turn lane going into them. So how much are you really,
Yeah, but that's talking further on down.
but you're probably going all the way out on them.
Yeah, eventually. I mean, that might be 10 years down the road. Who knows? It's
I'm not sure why you would-
based on what kind of grant money you can get for it. It's
I don't know
just
that
too
it-
bad that the state gave us all that 4-lane highway.
You're saying if the approaches are wider,
Yeah,
they're not gonna have.
I don't think you're gonna need a turn lane for each of those. I mean, you'll have a wider and longer approach for those businesses, and I don't think it would justify a turn lane from a traffic perspective out there. But you'll have a wider turn lane and a longer entrance into that area to accommodate truck traffic.
There's probably no way for, if a semi were to pull in there,
No way to turn around.
probably can't back it. They can't turn around in that parking lot.
No, they cannot.
So that's why they're doing it.
Exactly.
That's
Now
their-
you're
that's
down to
their
one
problem.
route.
Sure, sure.
And then when you turn into USP or USPS and all those are all trucks that's in there. And the 4-lane helps.
How far out is this going? To the
This
34?
goes to just shy of the intersection.
Yeah, but you wouldn't change that. It would taper back
To the
out.
lights.
Does not include down.
You wouldn't
It's
cut,
not coming back into town.
Thank you.
yeah, it'd still be the same. You'd still get them turned out. You wouldn't change the 4-lane at the entrances and the exits of the freeway.
I understand.
That should still stay the same. At least that's the way I look at it. I
Yeah.
don't know. Matt might look at it completely different, but,
But then you're clogging up one with
And-
all that traffic is what I'm.
Take into account, this was done
Real
really
fast.
quick.
Yeah, let's not solve it here. but-
So,
Okay.
just to be able to, and I wanted to at least present the opportunity for savings and
you bet.
the need, and if it's something you think we should pursue, I'd still proceed with public hearing tonight, and we can confirm the grant and see what the additional process would be. But if there's no interest, that was the other piece tonight. If there's no interest in pursuing it, tell me that, and we're off and running.
I'm going to think about it some more and think of issues, but thank you very much for bringing this to us, and I think it's a good idea to look at.
I think it's always right to look at ways to save money, taxpayers' money, no matter if it's a state or ours. So I think it's a great idea. We should look at it, but we want to look at it, the full picture and think of the things we've brought up tonight, take that into consideration.
Typically, I like to look at it sooner, but
But here we
it was a
go.
little difficult to do that.
Thank you, no problem.
Well, the funding, it only does cover not even half of the cost to us. so.
Yeah, 947,000 is the current estimate. 375,637 is the current funding,
So we'll have to fund, the city will have to fund
Oh,
a
okay.
large portion of it.
right? And that,
I didn't realize.
any other public comments? Now we'll close the public hearing. Go to new business. Item number 1 is consider pay request number 4 from Groff Excavating for work completed on the Des Moines County landfill lift station and the amount of $19,790.88.
Support.
Motion with support. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Young,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 2 is pay request number 1 from Hickey Contracting for work completed on the Wheeler and Pennington Ballard Curve Project in the amount of $44,398.30. This is all but the retainage.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 3 is to consider resolution accepting the Gear Avenue Trail Project, Phase 1, and the release of the retainage to Jones Contracting for the amount of $8,610.69.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 4 is to consider pay request number 6 from Boomerang Corporation for the work completed on the Mount Pleasant Street Water Tower and Booster Station project in the amount of $75,318.85.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 5 is consider payment to French Reniger Associates for engineering service related to the Wheeler Street and Pennington Ballard Curve Repair Project in the amount of $3,347.96.
So moved.
Support.
The motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Young,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
The motion carried. Item number 6 is to consider first reading of an ordinance amending provisions pertaining to elections. And the next 5 things are all state mandated changes to state codes. So all these next ordinances will all reflect that part of it. What this does is instead of having to get 10 votes to put on nomination papers, you're now required to get 20
25.
or 25, either way.
Motion approved.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Second.
Yeah, Trace.
I'm sorry, Tree
Trees.
second, made the motion or second?
Trees motioned, I seconded.
I didn't hear.
Either one.
Trees at all, okay. Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Carried. Item number 7 is considered first reading an ordinance amending provisions pertaining to interference with official acts.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 8 is to consider first reading an ordinance amending provisions pertaining to alcoholic beverage control.
So moved.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hightmeyer,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 9 is consider first reading of an ordinance amending provisions pertaining to abandoned vehicles.
Motion to approve.
Support.
There's a motion with support. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 10 is consider first reading of an ordinance amending the new provisions pertaining to failure to assist.
So moved.
Support.
Motion with support. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Young,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Motion carried. This next one might be the most controversial. Item number 11, consider first reading of an ordinance adding new provisions pertaining to low-speed electric bicycles.
Reluctantly motion approved.
Support.
Motion with support. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to know what happened after I emailed. I don't quite know.
Oh, I called, the or the League of, or what am I trying to say? Iowa
Ordinance.
codification, and it is in our ordinance, and we reference, there was changes made to the state code, but since we just referenced the state code, we don't need to have anything in there.
There
We
were
just-
spelling changes, nothing substantive.
Okay.
We
Okay.
already have it in the code that says we reference that. Well, if you go to that section, there was a change, but we don't need to make a change because
Okay.
we're just referencing
I
it.
just thought, I was looking for clarification on
Yeah.
something, and all of a sudden it just removed. I'm like,
Well, I thought I
Okay.
CC'd
Did
you
saw
an
my
email.
yeah, but I got that it was just, we didn't need it and it was gone. Well, that wasn't what I was trying to do.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
And we already had that section in our code, so they just redid the ordinance and took out that one line.
Okay, thanks.
Roll call.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Motion carried. So does anybody have any problems? We put this on the next agenda for the second reading and waiving the third. And we don't have a room packed of people. Anybody commenting on it?
Unless if someone comes before at the second meeting, I don't see a problem with it.
I agree, and most of that stuff, honestly, it didn't really change much.
No, then just wording.
And state code supersedes local ordinance, so if we don't adopt it, we still have to enforce
have
state
to,
code. So
yeah.
we don't really have a choice in the matter.
I mean, really, the biggest change in all that was the 15 extra signatures on an election. So,
I can prepare the resolutions, and then if somebody does have a question at the next meeting, you don't have to,
Yeah, you don't have to waive it. You can
waive
have
it.
the third reading. Okay. Item number 12 then is consider resolution approving amendments to the master fee schedule. And it looks like there's two changes made, the street sweeper at $100 an hour and right-of-way excavation, $50 set fee.
So just a question, who would want to rent our street sweeper?
well, no, but like if there's a spill of some sort and we have to go out and use a street sweeper, we can charge it back to,
Like a hazmat spill.
Oh, okay.
we can charge it back to, somebody that's,
Insurance company usually.
It comes back with that and any natural disasters. We can go back and get federal money back if we have a set fee for all the equipment that the city owns.
yeah, that was just one of the things that we didn't have on there. Then we had a hazmat issue, was it hazmat? Something,
Like if the mall, if they wanted to have their mall swept, would that be a use? of
well,
it?
it's mainly just for if we have to go out and do it for a particular reason.
Okay,
We don't really rent it out for anybody to
Okay.
use, except the stage is the only thing we actually will rent out, but.
okay.
You really don't want to compete with private
Private
businesses.
I was gonna say, we might want to raise this. Do we know what somebody else is charging?
I don't know.
Well, I can look at it, and there's also, the state has some fees that they use. We just have never wanted to go that.
I guess we don't have to agree to somebody, you know, the
I can
mall
look
calls
into
or
it.
something, but.
It was 150 for one of the other pieces.
Can't remember right offhand. I mean, you can make it whatever you feel is appropriate.
What's your pleasure? Ian?
A motion to approve is presented.
Second.
No support. Any further discussion?
No.
Roll call.
Whitmire,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 13 is consider applying for funding through the Iowa Federal Recreational Trails Program for Phase 2 of the Gear Avenue Trail, which is kind of tentative because there's a lot of right-of-way that needs to be purchased, which basically Phase 2 would be from the existing trail at SEC back to Houston Street. And if you look at the lay of the land there, it's going to be kind of difficult to put a trail in. And, I mean, it can be done, and it's been kind of designed that way, but we don't have any, we need to probably purchase right-of-way from the mall.
Right. Your Honor, if I may?
Go ahead.
So the two grants we've applied for so far with regional planning were turned down. Zach mentioned this, there's a federal opportunity, it's 80-20 match. However, the outlet, the GK Real Estate that owns the outlots, is not associated with the mall, does not wish to have the trail on their property. You'd have to come up with a different route for the trail. Not an easy, we've looked at a few different options. You know, you'd have to get across, get permission from the property owners. There's very little right-of-way on either side of the street. There's utilities in those locations as well. Their goal is to sell it as a whole rather than as individual lots. They don't feel that it's beneficial I'd argue that it's an economic development benefit, and it actually increases the value of the lot, but I guess that's moot. They're not interested in doing so. So really, I mean, we have $275,357 of grant dollars for this project. At present, and in order, I guess, to apply for this next trail without a location or utilizing the current location, really the only way to proceed is if this council would be interested in acquiring that property in some way, shape, or form, which could be discussed in closed session at a future time as well. But otherwise, we're going to we would have to forego the current grant, which goes from Highway 34 to the second entrance on Gear, that $357,000 grant. I thought I had the original grant amount for, let's see, project cost. Let's see. I do.
Could you shorten it up enough just to get across the freeway?
It's rather difficult to keep it adjacent to the street. You'd probably have to build a structure on the right-hand side of the trail as you're heading north. That's on the east side of the trail. Not a lot of good options here.
They're not, but SCC is part of our community. And a lot of those students walk back and forth to the mall, to living. They live over in West Burlington, in our town proper. I see it all the time. I walk there myself. It's crappy.
I agree.
I don't like to see us give up on that, just because it's going to be tough. It's unfortunate the mall, I guess, outlying property owners currently aren't cooperative, but I don't see them doing a lot with their lots either. So we just keep mowing them. Maybe it's worth reapproaching them so we could do something with that trail, that part of it, so we can continue the trail system in West Burlington.
I've approached them multiple times. They've basically said no at this point in time. So you'd have to utilize a different process. Acquisition being one of them. Their assessed value is around $180,000.
For that corner there.
For all five, or for all of the lots. That may not be the market value, that's just the assessed value. $890,496 was the total project cost for the entire trail.
Plus buying the property or acquiring the
Right,
property.
less than the acquisition and less the grant amount of $275,357. So, not a lot of good options here. If we want to get the grant submitted, it needs to be done ASAP. We would submit it with the current, in the current form. It's an 80-20 match. It needs to be submitted. It would need to be approved tonight in order to make the grant deadline, which I believe is October 1st. And we could follow up at a discussion in closed session at the next council meeting if you so chose.
I would recommend we submit, and it doesn't mean you have to accept. But just to get it in there.
I think we at least need to do that. My biggest concern, not the whole trail even, is the safety of being able to walk from 34 into the mall area, into the hotel area, our whole area. The number of people who walk from all those apartments. It's just not a good setup right now. And if there's got to be a way to improve that, if we can use this funding to do that, then I think the responsible thing is to proceed with at least submitting and we figure something out. If we can do that.
You want to make a motion to approve the resolution to apply?
Yes.
Support.
Get that, Kelly?
Yep.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Please.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Carried. Item number 14 is to consider first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 162 of the City Code related to floodplain management. This is something that is due to FEMA. They came out with new floodplain maps for the city of West Burlington. Been through them and looked at them. Nothing has basically changed. But we need to have this ordinance in place in order for, if there was ever to be a disaster in the city, to reduce FEMA dollars.
Copy of the maps is available in the city clerk's office if anybody's interested in looking at them.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion?
Your Honor, this is actually one that we would like to request council consideration on moving forward with the second and final.
Yeah, I
At the
was
next
going to bring
meeting.
that up. I was going to
Okay.
bring that up.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Young,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Motion carried. Like Greg said, next meeting we'll have the second reading on there and waiving the third, because this is due to the feds by the 21st of October, I do believe.
21st, 22nd, yes.
Could you send over a copy of the floodplain map, or I can stop in and see it? The new
Your paper copies, you're welcome to stop in.
Okay.
Oh, here they are.
There wasn't much change inside of West Burlington.
I haven't looked at them. I don't know if Sean had it.
I looked at them 4 months ago.
There's a section here. I'll pull it out and show it to you after.
Okay. That'll work, thanks.
I think there was only,
I try to do it
technically, there was only one place that would be considered floodplain,
Okay.
and I think it's farm field right now. Old business. Item number 1 is to consider amending the application for the State of Iowa Revitalize Sound Economic Rise Funds for the new roadway in the West Burlington Industrial Park.
Your Honor?
Go ahead. Greg's been going back and forth with the state and everybody else on this thing.
Right. We were hoping to have the property owner here tonight. As I let you know, they were out of state, would be available for the next council meeting to attend and answer any questions or discuss their business, deep root irrigation, for council's consideration or discussion purposes. DOT needs to know by tomorrow if we want to submit the grant opportunity for October or November. Unless the council were to tell me tonight not to proceed, I think we're going to have to push it out to November. Last time I talked to the engineers, they would be able to get it bid and back by February, so we're probably looking at a March letting, a little bit out of my preferred time zone, but, or from a letting perspective, but likely still okay. No additional information on wages. I was told that it's unlikely that those numbers will change, and that it would stay as a local grant rather than an immediate opportunity, local development grant rather than immediate opportunity, which, is, as you recall, is about $205,000 additional on local match. So I'm full of good news tonight. But I wanted to at least present that information to you tonight, what I've learned so far, and they will be at the next meeting, at least the property owners will be at the next meeting if you have any questions for the business.
Hans and I were invited to speak with the property owner, who is different than the business owner, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Impressive guy, liked him, liked his wife was very nice as well. My impression of this project is I'm very much in favor of the development of that area, and it sounds like there's some additional opportunities maybe in the north section as well. My current feeling after speaking with him and talking with Greg is that I personally feel that road can wait a little bit, and that we tie things to the development of the other lots to the north. I got the impression that, while that business is here to stay in our community and should be a successful business, and I hope it is, that those jobs aren't necessarily tied into that building in the future, that that's a possibility. And I think that would greatly affect our RISE grant if those jobs weren't in that building, even if they moved just, a couple hundred yards there to the north. I'd really like us to set up a long-term plan for that whole area, and as he talked about, the entrance onto Gear, and the turn into the Raider building area. Instead of just jumping on this one opportunity, which to me, for the amount of jobs that are out there today, I feel like what's there works. I know it's not perfect. I know we're probably still gonna have some work out there anyway. But I'd like us to start concentrating on what happens to the north of that and what we can do to see that developed. And hopefully that opens up some new ways that we can fund the project, and do the entire area, not just that one little stretch, with some jobs that I don't feel are gonna be in that building.
Future development obviously gives the city an opportunity to utilize tax increment financing for infrastructure. It could include water and sewer, not just road infrastructure as well, depending on how much increment is created by any future development. It would not be a site-ready site, I guess. I'm not sure if that's the accurate term, but it'd be much easier, and it would provide local match without having to bond for it, or at least a lower or reduced amount of local match. But that said, regional planning is also, the other factor is the bus barn is proceeding on their site as well. But that does not require a separate street. It's on their property. I can simply tell DOT to push it to the November meeting, and you can certainly wait to hear from Mr. Chudai at the next council meeting, or the council could act tonight as well. So whatever your pleasure.
I vote we push it off, that we'll submit in November. We had last meeting, we said we wanted to talk to him, and we wanted to the 16th and the 22nd, and now it'll be the 6th. It's just too bad timing isn't working out, but I think it's important to be able to hear from him really what the plan and assess.
You'd simply table it to a date certain, which would be the next council meeting.
Okay. So I move to table this decision to the next council meeting.
Don't even need to do that, we'll just table it.
Table it, okay.
All right, anyone wishing to address council matters we did discuss or didn't discuss tonight? Here's your chance. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.